Welcome to another Demarcation Media Mega Construx review. Today we are going to be comparing all of the new articulation honor guards, or almost all of them. There is one that I don't have that I don't really even feel needs to be a part of the comparison. There is a active camo honor guard that came in, was it Echo series as the rare? Something like that. It was a blind bag thing. It is extremely hard to get, and it's essentially just an honor guard but clear. That's about it. And I think it comes with a sword instead of a pike, but it's not really anything to write home about, in my opinion. The detailing isn't printed or anything, so it's just a clear figure. Or maybe he is here and he's just invisible, so you can't see him. But yeah, today we have all three of the normal ones. And I want to give a big thanks to Max Salkowski over on Instagram for helping me get this guy, because he is such a pain to get now. So without his help, this video would not be happening. So a huge thanks to him. So what I want to do is I just want to go through each figure one by one, just take a quick look, and then get them all side by side again and see which one comes out on top. So here is the Series 3 Honor Guard, and before we get into looking at him, I just wanted to show the old articulation Honor Guard. He looks very goofy, but I just wanted to kind of put him side by side so that you guys can see a little how far Mega has come in their figure production. I mean, look at that. That is quite the leap in size, quite the leap in just everything. That's pretty cool. Although I will say the old guy still has some pretty darn good printing overall, and the pikes are almost exactly the same. But here he is. This is like one of the most infamous figures in Halo Mega Construx line. The amount of times I see people looking for these, the amount of times I see people trying to army build them or selling them for ridiculous prices, it's just out of control. And I kind of overlooked him for a while because like he's expensive and I don't know, he just didn't seem worth it. But now that I have it in hand, I can definitely see why people like him so much. It's a very, very nice figure. The printing is sharp. The black and the gold stand out really well. It looks really good. The dark red is so nice. This is the color that I wish that they would have done for like the Yoroi. Sad that they didn't. He's got the pike in black. His skin tone is the kind of tan color. And he has the newer like thin peg for his helmet, and then he's got the original normal Halo hands. Looking very good. This is what his stand looks like. In case you were wondering, just says Elite Honor Guard, has the green of Series 3. Overall, a very sharp looking figure, really nice, and I can kind of understand why people spend so much time and money trying to get him now, because he's pretty darn cool. After the Series 3 Honor Guard sold out and the active camo Honor Guard became extremely difficult to get, we went kind of years without seeing anything in terms of like Honor Guards. And then out of the blue, Mega brought the Honor Guards back in the most odd way possible. Or, I don't know, maybe not the most odd way, but they decided to make the Honor Guard Ultra, essentially. If I'm understanding correctly, the white is essentially an Ultra for the Honor Guards. In Halo Heroes Series 15, so Series 3 to Series 15, and everybody was very excited. It was really good to see the Honor Guard mold return, and also in white is just, it's a really nice change of pace. I think they could have started off by just remaking the red one, and people would have been happy, but this is really, I don't know, it just shakes things up a bit, is really nice. And I have looked at this figure in detail before. It's just really nice, really good. The accents are gray now. He's got the newer Elite hands, although they're not really new. They were from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and they look way more accurate. They do have some stability issues in terms of like sometimes they'll just randomly snap more often than the normal Halo hands will do that, which is kind of a bummer. And then he has a gray skin tone. Same peg, though, because, I mean, we're just on this smaller one now, so that's just what we use. And his helmet doesn't want to go back on. There we go. I always wondered how these guys see, but that's a rabbit trail. His pike is gray this time. The gold is pretty good. It could have been a little thicker, I think, maybe on the pike. But the detailing on the head is still really good. And on the shoulders, on the legs too, looking really good. These guys are super cool. I have actually 5 of them in my collection just because I wanted a squad of 4, and then I ended up finding a 5th at CVS and couldn't leave him there. So yeah, very nice figure, and his stand just looked... This is not his stand, but his stand is just one of these pieces. So nothing hugely special, but yeah, really, really nice figure. And this is probably one of the most, if not the most, accessible of the Honor Guards. And that brings us to the most recent entry, the Series 18 Honor Guard. So Mega essentially took what they had changed with the Lights of Sanghelios, like the hands and whatnot, and then they brought it back in red. And I was really surprised that we got to see it so soon. You know, we went from Series 3 to Series 15 without a new Honor Guard, and then just out of the blue, Mega's like, oh, by the way, we're doing the Honor Guard again. So that was really cool. That was a great thing to see. And they did some things really good. Like, for the most part, I would say this figure is really good. But there's some odd things, like, I don't know why they decided to do the gray again. And also, they didn't put the gold print in in here. The gold print is up here, but not really down in here. I don't know if that's just early printing error or what. But yeah, the gold doesn't go as far. The gray and gold don't have as much contrast. But it is nice to see some consistency, because now we can have the Lights of Sanghelios and these guys side by side, and they have the same... Whoa, stand up. They have the same accent color. So that's pretty neat. And then, you know, they've done stuff like printing on the inside of the legs, which is super nice. And all around, it is a pretty good figure. The red, a lot of people are not sure about this color red. I personally think it looks pretty nice, but I know not a lot of people agree. I think the general consensus is that it should have been darker. And we're actually going to get all of them side by side in just a moment so that we can see if that is actually the case. But that's his stand. Instead of saying Elite Honor Guard, it says Sangheli Honor Guard. And honestly, after a couple series using these stands, I prefer these stands over the old ones. They're much more low profile, and I think it makes them easier to display, especially because they're square, so you can fit them right up against each other, whereas these ones, these don't sit well with the other ones. You'd have to have them at a funky angle. I don't know. I just think that these stands are better. I don't know. Just in general, they work better. The way that they're printing them is better. It's just one piece, so you don't have to worry about getting all the pieces for the stand if you're looking for a stand. Like, if you were to try and track down the stand for an Elite Honor Guard, you'd have to make sure you got the bottom plate in the right color, the printed part, and then if you want the stand pieces, those two. Whereas this is just a single piece. If you get the stand, you get the stand. If you don't, you don't. That's as simple as that. So I think that this stand is better. There's obviously a ton of differences between these guys. I mean, they're essentially different classes of Honor Guard. Again, if I'm understanding it correctly. But I would say their production is overall on the same level. I did notice that this guy has black printed all on the underside of the front of the armor. You can see that. Whereas this guy, the gray, just kind of goes down to there and stops. So that's something that this dude has over the Light's figure. However, the Light has the gray wrapping the side of the leg and around to the back, whereas this guy, he just has red. So there's more print there. So in general, I feel like these guys are on the same level. I mean, look at their helmets. They're printed very nicely. The pikes, maybe the black pike is a little better. The gold is warmer and thicker. So I'd say that's nicer. But overall, they're pretty comparable. I do like how the black wraps on these spikes instead of what this does. It's just on the front. And then they both have what I would have preferred to see Mega do different, which is printing on the inside of these little ear things. It probably would be so hard. But if they can do it on these little spikes and on the underside of the armor, I feel like they could do it on the ear things too. But But yeah, these guys I think are pretty comparable. They fit pretty nicely. The new hands are a plus on this guy though. Well, it's a plus in terms of looks. In terms of how durable it is, I'm not so sure. Stand up. Okay, now the thing that I think everybody really wants to see. These two side by side and really compared. So I think it's pretty easy to say overall the Series 3 Honor Guard probably just wins out. I'm just going to say that right off the bat. Whoa, what is he doing? Just stand up properly, please. Yeah, look at that. There's a very, very large difference in the color. It's pretty noticeable. This guy almost looks more orange compared to the old one. I did do some research for like images, reference images, to see what's like which one is more accurate, and it's really hard to tell. You know, the whole debate about what color Arbiter is kind of could apply to the Honor Guards as well, because depending on the lighting, they look brighter or darker. So I don't think one of them is less accurate, although the pictures do show them having ungloved hands. This guy definitely has gloves on his hands, so that's a little more accurate. I will say the printing overall is better on this guy. Just look at the ear fin things. That's what I'm really looking at. There's just not gold in there. it's just not there. And then the gold is in general more pale and thin. He does have the print on the inside of the leg, which is nice. And he does have the little spikes printed on the inside, which is also nice. But again, the print on the chest does not wrap all the way underneath like it does on this guy. The black goes all the way down. The gray on here just stops right there at the front. I want to see the side of the leg print. There's just more contrast in general because of the black highlights. So, yeah, I mean, I don't feel like it's a downgrade per se. I know a lot of people are saying that the new Honor Guard is a downgrade. I don't think it's fair to say he's a downgrade. I just think that he's not the same, and he's maybe slightly lower in terms of just in general detailing. I do like the red on this guy. It's a very nice metallic color, but the dark red just looks really good. The problem with the... Guys, stand up. There we go. The problem with the Series 3 one is that it's so incredibly difficult to get that, I don't know, the fact that he has more detail is almost outweighed by his sheer inaccessibility. Whereas hopefully, this guy will be more readily available for people. But yeah, looks-wise, this guy just works. Well, there you have it. That is all three of the kind of standard release Elite Honor Guards. So I gotta say, the Series 3 one probably wins the whole thing in terms of looks, but I think, honestly, if I had to put one of these at number one, it would be the lights of St. Helios. Here's why. He's got detail that kind of rivals this guy. And yes, he has some couple spots that's like the spikes on his shoulders. They should have been printed on the inside. But that's outweighed by the fact that this figure was the most accessible out of all three of these. It remains to be seen whether or not the Series 18 Honor Guard will be as readily available. But for a while, the lights were hard to get. I feel like at this point, though, they're not as difficult to get. The prices of them have gone down a bit. And I'm sure for some of you guys like in the UK and whatnot, they're still kind of hard to find. But in general, he was the most accessible. Series 3 guy, you're going to run yourself so much money trying to get these. If you want one, it's going to be anywhere from $70 to $100. If you want a little squad of 4, to escort your profit, that's going to be so much money. Like, it's way more than it's worth. This guy right now, to get a hold of him, the only way to really do it is to buy him online from sellers like Popcorn 8 over on Mercari. The release of these guys are not supposed to happen until fall. We'll see what happens when fall rolls around with the rate that things are going. I'm wondering if, at least for America, the majority of the ones coming to America will have already sold, thanks to these I don't even know what's going on. The resellers that are somehow getting a hold of them. We'll see, though. Don't take that as fact. Don't go around going, they're all going to sell out before fall. That's not necessarily true. That's just some speculation on my part. We might see, I don't know what we'll see. It's a weird time for collecting Mega, so we'll just kind of have to watch. But yeah, he does have some missing detail, like the gold on his little spikes. I don't really know why they can't print it the same way they did on this guy and on this guy. I don't know if they're factory problems or what. But yeah, definitely the lights takes it. He's not your traditional red honor guard, so that might not suit some people, but I would say that he's the most well done and accessible. That's like the balance that I'm looking for here. Because if we were going in terms of looks, it would straight up be the Series 3. But like I said, getting him, it's painful. Very, very painful. Which is why I didn't try to get him sooner. Because, yeah. And a lot of times the people who are selling them with the mindset of, I know what I have, don't lowball me, sort of thing. And that just makes it even more difficult. And then there's these guys. And these guys are kind of easy to get depending on where you look. I say kind of because, it's Mega. Everything is difficult to get to some degree. But yeah, do you guys have any of these in your collection? And which one of these would you say is your number one? Like if you had to pick which one you would put on top. Which one of these three would go on top for you? Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and consider subscribing. And I'll see you next time.